Good morning, Jesse. I'm just kidding. Wait a minute.
I mean, the funny thing is it's the afternoon.
Oh.
Yeah, well, wow. Take two.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Jesse.
You too, Jesse.
No, I'm Jesse.
No, I'm Jesse. We'll get into that later.
Sounds good. So it's our first podcast. How do you feel about that?
I feel it's exciting.
What are you hoping to bring with this podcast?
My charm.
Oh, charm.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping you'd say something about insight. But charm, we'll see where that gets us.
We're lacking in charm.
I think you're lacking in charm. But we could probably bring some insight.
Okay.
Well, our mostly peaceful podcast, certainly inspired by events of 2020, where we saw our state on fire. But fret not, it was a peaceful fire.
It was a peaceful fire.
Yeah, right. So we hope to inspire others with our mostly peaceful podcast. And we'll get into some trips down memory lane and hopefully dabble in some current events and give our perspectives. Overall, it's always a good time to chat with you, JR.
Same.
Cool. So I thought we could get started with a stroll on talking about maybe some famous people that we've met. And my thought would be, since it is spring training time for baseball, we would talk about one of my favorite trips in my lifetime that I've taken, was with you, when we went down to spring training in Fort Myers to watch and meet some of our Minnesota Twins.
Yeah, that was a great time.
It was a great time. So what was so great about it for you?
Florida is really a wonderful place. There's the street performers, the environment that brings, and the overall energy of Florida is really fun. Not only that, but I also feel like the ocean has its own special, it's cool.
Yeah. You were pretty young then. I want to say maybe 6-ish when we went?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. When you say street performers, were you talking about the homeless?
Maybe.
Maybe? No. What do you remember about the street performers?
There was a street performer that was juggling swords.
Okay. Yeah, so indeed that was a street performer down in the downtown area, which was pretty walkable. So that was certainly a good time. What do you remember? I'm 6 years old. That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
We're 20 years ago. What do you remember about the sword juggler?
Not much. Just he was juggling swords,
Okay.
That's about it. I remember that. I remember meeting JR.
Okay.
JRR or something, maybe?
Okay.
What was his name?
That was a...
He was in his truck.
There was J.D. Durbin.
That's who it was.
Yes, J.D. Durbin, who was a top prospect for the Minnesota Twins. We were walking, we were on a walk to go get lunch from spring training. And we were going to a restaurant, walking our way. Big truck pulls over in front of us, stops in front of us, and out hops J.D. Durbin. And he's like, "Hey guys, you got a ball I can sign?" And we're like, "Well, we're on the side of the road. I don't know that we do." And he's like, "Don't worry." Went back to his truck, grabbed a baseball, signed it for you, and said, "God bless," and sent you on your way.
Yeah.
So that's a good memory. Certainly, the street performers were pretty. It was one of the better, crowds that you would get. There was good energy down there. What I remember of the street performances was there was a comedian who was heckling people as they walked by, and if you knew, as you know me, I appreciate a good heckle.
Good heckle.
Yeah, right. I could have watched that guy for hours, just heckle passersby.
Did he heckle us?
We did not get heckled.
That's
Yeah.
good.
I think he was like,
Yeah.
disability. He was like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe don't go there. But
Chappelle's bringing back the.
yeah, that's
He's
true.
making it okay to make fun of disabled
Yeah.
people again.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
So we had, when you were young, we had Twins season tickets to the baseball games,
Mm-hmm.
and we moved from like the mid level down to the lower level, and our seats were in the Metrodome at the time. Our seats were by the bullpen where our opponents would warm up. You remember that?
I do remember that.
Okay. So through that, we ended up meeting quite a few Twins.
Yeah, because the elevator went into the backstage, as you would call it, I suppose.
Yeah, the depths of the Metrodome.
The depths of the Metrodome.
Yeah, to get to that area. So, two Twins come to mind, and I'll link this, actually three Twins, particular, as it relates to our story for our Fort Myers trip. Mike Redman.
Of course, you gotta say Mike Redman.
Right.
Of course.
Michael Kadire.
Yep, that's those are the two that come to mind. And then, can I guess?
Sure.
Is it Tony Oliva?
Tony Oliva was
All
the
right.
third. Yeah,
Cool.
for sure, right? So,
Yeah.
the great thing about that experience, certainly for me, was Mike Redman was really the best. Like, tremendous human being, really kind and considerate. And any and every time he saw us, he was like, guys, come back, come join me.
Yeah.
Let's watch batting practice. And he would dissect.
That was fun.
Yeah, right. He would tell us like, oh, their feet, look at Joe today. He's like really hot, Joe Mauer, and he's gonna have a good day today. And sure enough, he was 100% on it. So, but
I mean, Mike Redman, I could see in a coaching position.
he was a manager.
Really?
He did.
Okay.
Yep. He later became a manager. I think for the Miami Marlins.
All right.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. So I mean, definitely you could see.
Yeah.
Based on his interaction with us, his knowledge of the game was top shelf.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the other thing, linking back to our time with him, then coming into spring training, like he really opened up a lot of doors for us. And I'd say the other, there was the other two guys, Michael Kadire, kind of linked in with Mike Redman, and he was really, really good for us. And made sure he came, and pretty much any time we were with Redman, Kadire would come and visit. And then Tony O, like, man, Hall of Famer. Later I think in another podcast we'll talk about some of the other linkages to the Twins all-time greats that you've had, but certainly you kind of had it from the Redman connection, and later from the or earlier from the Killebrew connection. Had that time with Tony O, but it was great for those guys to recognize us and spend some time with us.
Yeah. I have a Tony O story.
Okay, let's hear
So,
that.
I remember we were in Fort Myers, and Tony O, he's in his little go-kart thing, and he spots us, and he, races over, hands us a ball, and says hi and says, I gotta go, they're coming after me. And there, all of a sudden, you see a big crowd of people realize it's Tony Oliva. And he's like, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah, that's right. He definitely sped over, said hey to us, gave you a ball, and sped off, and got out of there. Do you remember who else came over to meet us?
Like over the years with Tony Oliva.
No, during that spring training.
Was Bert?
No, I'll tell you.
Okay.
Tom Kelly, TK.
Okay.
He was concerned about sunscreen. Do you remember that?
I don't.
Oh yeah, certainly. Yeah, I mean, you don't like sunscreen,
I don't.
and you have fair skin, which the combination isn't
It's not the most helpful.
not a helpful combination. So TK definitely saw that you were a little pink, and he came over and was like, "You better put some sunscreen on your boy." So I got coached by the coach. So yeah,
That's great.
yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah.
Much appreciated. So yeah, anything else you remember about that trip?
Oh, I remember we were, we like a good heckle because we heckle ourselves. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember we were at dinner
Mm-hmm.
and we were just having the greatest time. There was some interesting people and we had commentary on it as we do. And some people liked our commentary, I think, and they bought us dinner.
Yeah, that was great. We asked for the check, and the waitress came to us and said, "You know what? The people really enjoyed your company." And we're like, "What company?" And they're like, "Yeah, the people sat next to you thought you guys were pretty entertaining and wanted to buy you dinner." So I did make sure to tip our waitress still, especially considering our dinner was free. But yeah, it's a good time when people appreciate a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember going to the condo and having dinner with a sand crane?
Oh, I do remember that now. That's funny.
Yeah, right?
I do remember that.
Yeah, so we were staying at a friend's house,
Mm-hmm.
and we slept on an air mattress, which we'll get to that story. We slept on an air mattress one of the nights, and but they were feeding a sand crane, and the sand crane, when they would migrate into town, would make sure it would stop by their house, and the thing would walk right in the house.
Mm-hmm.
So you remember that?
I do remember that.
Yeah.
Walked right in, grabbed some spaghetti, and walked right
Right.
out.
We're like, dang, we thought we were having spaghetti for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what we did have for dinner?
Lemon bars.
Lemon bars. The spaghetti was not that great, so
No, it wasn't.
yeah, we were snooping around trying to
Mhm.
figure out what we were going to eat for dinner. But they had just made a fresh batch of lemon bars, and we ate the whole thing.
Yeah.
But hey, they made them for the guests, and the guests ate them.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Certainly.
Let's see, I pushed you off into the water, JR.
Yeah,
during
I
that
remember
trip.
that.
Yeah, you do remember that. So, JR and I slept together on this air mattress, and I ended up having a nightmare that we were trapped on a rowboat in the middle of the ocean together, and we were taking on water, and my reaction to that was to push you overboard. And I don't know why that was the plan.
Did it work?
I guess it did work because you were like, hey, but it was me just pushing you off the air mattress, and it woke me up out of the sinking ship. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, so I
So
guess
it did work.
Yeah, it did work. Hey, good
Good
job,
call.
boss. Yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
Inception saved you.
Yeah, right. I wonder what level I was in.
Oh, I don't even know.
Dang. Wow, yeah. Must have been on one of the first levels.
Yeah.
For sure. Oh man, that's too good. Anything else we want to talk about around that spring training?
Do you remember the airplane that flew low?
I don't. Oh yeah, I do remember that from the Air Force
Yeah.
Base.
So there was an airplane
That's
flew
right.
low, and we didn't know that's what it was. I thought it was an earthquake, which I don't know if Florida has earthquakes or not. But I was 6, so
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not in Minnesota and something's going on. So
Hmm.
I remember being like, how do I get under the table?
Yeah, wow, yeah. Yeah. Huh. Not so easy in a wheelchair, I
No,
can
it's
imagine.
not.
Yeah, you were like, can you move this chair out of the way
Yeah,
or what?
yeah. I'm in my manual chair, so I'm short enough probably.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if it was like a high top
Yeah.
table, but I mean, really, you're pretty
I
much
don't know.
toast.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Earthquake.
Yeah. No, it flew low, and I remember it taking off, and it shook windows.
Yeah.
It was like, I wouldn't call it quite a sonic boom, but it was definitely loud.
It was something.
Set car alarms off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Huh. Oh, that's a good memory for sure. I don't know that I have anything else other than Michael Kadir was a really good guy. Mike Redmond certainly spent a lot of time with us, and then
Oh, for sure.
over the years, Tony O, him, such a class character coming over and taking the time, and then made you feel special when he was like, all right, well, I got to dip before these other regulars come over. So Twins have always been a good organization about making sure that we were taken care of.
Yeah, definitely.
Even when it wasn't convenient, when you had to go to the depths of through the Metrodome. But I'm sure we'll talk about that in another podcast. So if you want to switch, maybe we should talk a little about some current events or some stuff that's in the news, maybe.
Yeah. Where would you like to take it?
That'd be the part of the show where JR hasn't thought this far ahead. No, I was thinking, did you watch the new episode of Daredevil?
I did not.
Wow. Because you've been busy...
I don't know.
Not watching?
Not being aware that there's new Daredevil.
Wow, okay. Well, I guess that gives us
I'm
something
really keeping up with the times.
Wow. Okay, do you know, we could talk about the new Captain America.
I would like that.
Yeah, we watched that.
Yeah, we watched that together.
I was like, oh, great. Yeah, no, we definitely watched that together. Spoiler alert, so if you haven't watched Captain America, was it Brave New World?
Brave New World.
Yeah, Brave New World. It was Anthony Mackie.
Yep.
Falcon is now Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
If you have not watched that yet, maybe you want to fast forward here a little bit while we talk about Captain America.
Yeah.
We're huge comic book fans. As you can see up on the wall here, we've got a couple of elite Wolverine comics.
Yeah.
Jessica's cousin's comic book store, was it Issues Needed?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's where we go. Little plug, Jason, for your store. Cool little local comic book store. So Jason hooked us up, I think, with both of those, as a matter of fact.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So, or maybe he helped Santa acquire those. I don't know that I necessarily remember, but yeah. So, anyways, huge comic book fans. Love the movies.
Yep.
Love to read the comics.
It was great, starting with Blade, and that's where it took off, right? That was the first of the MCU, wasn't it?
I don't know that Blade was the first in the MCU.
I think it was before Iron Man.
I mean, there was a lot of movies before.
Yeah.
Like MCU started.
Yeah.
It was, because you had Sam Raimi's Spider-Man's.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's when you really got into.
That's when I got into it.
Yeah, into.
But those aren't really part of the MCU until recently.
Right. So they folded those back in.
Yeah.
But I think Iron Man was the first.
Okay.
One. I'll have to look that up. I guess followers, you can comment below and let us know where we've gone astray. But how great is it that we've had 2 decades of Marvel films?
I know.
So many so that we forgot what order they were in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty remarkable seeing, everybody's got their favorite books, to movie things, and seeing comic books take off in that same direction is really fun.
Yeah, for me, seeing the movies come to life like they have, I would spend my summers up at the cabin reading comic books, just sitting in the big room reading comic books, or out on the dock reading a lot of comic books, walk myself up to the local gas station and tried to earn some money and get some more comic books. So to see that come to the big screen is pretty cool. But this new installation without Steve Rogers as Captain America, what did you think about it?
I thought it was fun. I really liked the armor and all the gear and tech that they brought for the new Captain America. I like that despite it being a very, it's about the president and stuff like that, I felt like they didn't take a political stance that I felt they could have, which I enjoy them keeping politics out of.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. There's a lot of stuff, and certainly some things have been sensationalized, right?
Yeah.
So it would have been easy, probably some easy, like soft things for them to,
They could have taken jabs.
Yeah, right.
And they didn't.
Right. So, and for Disney, that's kind of big that they didn't do that.
Yeah.
They've kind of been.
I hear though, I read online that they took some stuff out because they realized that, the consumer is not necessarily on their side anymore when it comes to
some of what they're pushing.
Some of the stuff that they're pushing, yeah.
Well, good. Well, kudos to whoever is listening to the consumer. Good idea.
Yeah.
Red Hulk.
Yeah.
I hope we see more Red Hulk.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
I think we will.
Yeah, I like the Hulks.
Yeah, my favorite Hulk is Maestro.
Hulk. Maestro, yeah. Well, he's been around a while. And he's done a lot of bad Hulk stuff.
Yeah. Think we'll get a World War Hulk?
I think if they're smart, they could cash in on a World War Hulk. Do we see it before Secret Wars or this Doctor Doom business and Battle World? Or is it, an offshoot of when they create Battle World? I could see that.
Yeah.
Weaving that in. Certainly we have enough Hulks now that have been out there. I think it was in She-Hulk when they introduced us to Scar.
Yes.
Yeah, at the very last.
At the very end.
Yeah, at the very end. So, yeah, I mean, certainly we have enough Hulks to do some hulking.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else about the movie did you like or find interesting?
I felt like it was very classic Marvel. It was very, I didn't think it didn't branch out into anything new. There wasn't much new to it, any new ideas brought forward, I don't really think, but I don't think you need that necessarily to make a good Marvel movie.
Sidewinder. It was Giancarlo from Breaking Bad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Right. I would have liked to have seen him a little bit more. But, of course, as they're adding different baddies, it's always good to see strong actors in those roles. For me, it was cool to see Betty Ross. Liv Tyler.
Yeah.
Kind of connecting old
Hulk.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
That would have been. No. Which Hulk was that? Eric Norton?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, there was a Hulk movie.
Was it Incredible Hulk?
I think it was.
Incredible Hulk.
And there were kids with us, behind us. And they were annoying.
Yeah, to say the least.
To say the least.
Like, where was their dad? Like, their dad wasn't even. Their dad was there, and then their dad left to, I don't know, go get popcorn or go to the bathroom, but it was more like he was gone, get away. Yeah. Yeah.
So he, his kids kept saying stuff like, "Why is the Hulk green?" and "Why is the Hulk naked?" and they had lots of questions that I felt like were very simple answers that I think maybe if they watched the movie they
Definitely
could have figured out.
if they had like any level of I wouldn't even say critical thinking, just thinking in general.
Yeah.
It would have been like,
critical might be too much.
he got gamma, you know, this stuff makes him green. He gets mad, turns green. Not
he
mad
doesn't
anymore.
Fit clothes
Yeah,
when he's
right.
angry.
Like he gets giant, clothes rip off, shrinks down, clothes fall off. Yeah, they're like, why is the Hulk so mad? Like, dude, did you?
He's obviously mad because they're trying to kill him.
Right. Like, did you see the tank roll up?
Yeah.
Bullets hurt.
Also, at that movie, I almost killed an old woman.
Yeah, people don't necessarily watch where they're going when we're sitting in the handicap section, and your feet, you kind of stick out into the aisleway a little bit. I think most, at least the good movie theaters are kind of, they put you back. Yeah. So they've had some lessons learned.
Yes.
On wheelchair seating. So
maybe a couple lawsuits hit them.
Yeah, definitely not us, but
maybe, no.
Yeah, certainly maybe we missed out on that opportunity.
Kind of cash out.
Yeah, that's right. Huh, that's too funny. Other thoughts on Captain America?
Well, I would like to ask you, where do you think the end spoilers lead us to?
Let me think. What was the end spoiler? What was the end spoiler?
It was that. What was it?
Great. Now we're gonna have to edit this out. Here, I'll look it up. Okay. All right, I'll go to my laptop here. Do you want to do like some distracting music while I look up? Is that what? That's not even. Oh, Sam Stern. Sam Wilson visits Sam Stern, and he talks about probabilities of threats from other universes.
Correct. Yeah, that makes sense.
Earth's heroes will need to protect the planet from the world. So, I mean, really, it's just a prelude to essentially, secret wars and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, we know that the multiverses are converging. So, I mean, it wasn't that memorable of an end credit scene. I don't feel like.
No, but it is.
I mean, it connects stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like some of the end credit scenes we've seen in the past where you're like, oh, what?
This is changing things. Yeah.
Right. Like,
no, it just brought up like, hey, we're still doing what we're doing.
Yeah, that's right. Like, stay the course. Stay the course. We're not going to king this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked.
What can they do
Harrison.
when something like Kang happens, though? I mean, how do you handle that?
Honestly, I think they messed up when they had Jonathan Majors in one of the end credit scene where they had all the Kangs, and all the Kangs were Jonathan Majors, right?
Yeah.
If you would have had like definitely Kangs, but maybe not all the same guy Kang, you could have pivoted. Easily pivoted to a new Kang.
Yeah.
Right? So now I feel like they just had to sweep that under the rug and be like, start over, but I don't think we've seen the last of Kang. He's a pretty solid villain.
Yeah.
I think pretty important villain in Marvel lore, so we'll see him again. But yeah, they certainly paid a price for his for his issues. But yeah, stay out of trouble, kids. Harrison Ford's Red Hulk was pretty solid.
Yeah.
I worry that he's getting up there in age, so you wonder. Certainly good for that film, is it good for Thunderbolts or future Red Hulk? Maybe not as much, but if we could get 2-3 years out of Red Hulk, I think we're probably fine.
Yeah, I think that's all we need.
Yeah, I think so. Thunderbolts, Secret Wars, Planet Hulk. Get that around 3 years, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Any other thoughts that you had on that?
Did you see what Anthony Mackie said about playing the role of Captain America?
No.
He said that he felt like Captain America. I felt like he was kind of bashing America, I'm going to be honest. He seemed to be saying that, from what I took from it, was that he didn't seem Captain America wasn't supposed to be tied to, he didn't want it tied to America and what America stands for now. And I was disappointed by that. But I think that, in contrast to how the film portrayed itself, it was okay, as long as the film didn't portray itself in that with that such a brash.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know that you're. Yeah, I mean, it is glad that the film kind of stayed true to form, I guess, so to speak. I mean, that's what made Captain America so great. Was the work that he had done, through the years, right? And I'm glad they didn't taint that at all.
Yeah.
Certainly, times change and different things happen, but still, the red, white, and blue stands firm.
Fighting.
Yeah.
World War II,
Yeah, that's right. Fighting bad dudes. Speaking of bad dudes, or good dudes, or good girls or bad guys, if you don't mind, if I could pivot to maybe a different subject that we thought would be fun to talk about in the podcast.
Okay.
Trip down nurse memory lane.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I thought, it's always interesting to think about, like, how's your podcast going to be different than someone else's podcast, right?
Yeah, of course.
And certainly JR you and I spend a lot of time together. And I don't even know how many nurses you've had.
Oh, 100 at least.
Hundreds. Yeah, for sure. So you had a stint in the hospital about 10 years ago, where you got this bad boy.
Yep.
And you came out of the hospital with a trach and 24-hour nursing care.
Yep.
So some of that's good, some bad. Certainly met some great nurses along the way. I think we'll talk about some of them. We'll maybe not use all their full name.
Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, but share some stories about the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
I think so.
And I think that's just an interesting thing, people don't realize, certainly for you, nurses are an integral part of your day.
Correct, yeah.
That's like
It's my main person that's controlling what I, how I interact with the world.
Right. And there is a nursing shortage. So we've experienced this shortage for 10 years now. I don't know that it hasn't gotten any better. Still though, there's a lot of caretakers that when you were back at home with us for, probably 5 years after the hospital. Yeah, probably about 4 or 5 years after your hospital, it was all in-home nursing. And then you moved out into your group home here. And now you're out on your own with a new batch of new waves of nurses. So wonder, JR, if there's maybe a nurse that you think maybe top 10, bottom 10, Is there one that you want to talk
I
about?
want to talk about Doug.
You want to talk about Doug? Okay. Okay. Wow, we're gonna go. I think the people are in for a treat here.
Yes.
Today you're gonna go big here
Mhm.
and talk about Doug. Yeah, it's boy, where do we start with Doug?
Oh, I've got stories for Doug.
Stories for Doug. Okay, let's have at it. Let's maybe describe Doug.
Doug was a. How old would you say Doug was?
He was probably at retirement age.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's probably the best way to put it.
Yeah.
I think he didn't need to be working.
I don't think he did either.
Yeah.
Doug was also hard of hearing and did not accept that.
Yeah. Yeah. He didn't have any hearing aids or.
No.
Yeah, or anything, but certainly.
It was a hard time for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
He had a hard time hearing.
He had a hard time hearing, and he did not. I agree. He did not accept the fact that he was hard of hearing. And when you need to listen for someone who's calling for you, hearing's a big part of the job.
Yeah. You know, certainly you can, there's adaptive technologies that you could have
Leveraged. Yeah, for sure.
Certainly accepting of people that are disabled. You
Yeah.
know, as a disabled person myself, so I don't know where the idea he got that he didn't, where he thought he should hide that he was hard of hearing or whatever he was doing
Yeah.
was to be ignored.
Yeah.
Where that came from, but
What else do you remember?
so I've got one story for you guys. Doug one time, he enters my room and he's holding something. He's standing on the tubing. Now,
So you have
I have a breathing machine.
Yeah, you're on a vent.
I'm on a ventilator at the time, and I was very, right now I'm not on it as people can see, but I have a tube
Yeah,
that
it'd be
goes.
like a tube that would go to your ventilator.
Mhm.
You were still probably like within
Pretty
a year,
dependent on it.
probably a year out of the hospital.
Mhm.
So you're dependent on that ventilator, right?
Yeah,
so
for
then you'd be,
breathing.
I think you were in bed at the time?
I was.
Yeah, so you're laying in bed, the tubing kind of runs down, and if you didn't clip it onto the bed, it would go down onto the floor and up to the machine.
Mhm.
And sometimes, people would need to transition you, so they would unclip it so it didn't pull, which really, that's the right thing to do, but then you got to remember to clip it back on the bed.
Mhm.
Right? So anyways, continue. Sorry.
So Doug stepped on the tubing.
Okay, so he comes in.
He comes in, he
He's
stands on the tubing, and he talks to me, and he asks me if I need anything. And I look at Doug, and I go, I can't breathe. And he goes, what? And I go, Doug, you're standing on the tubing? And Doug goes, what?
Yeah, that wasn't the last time Doug stood on the tubing. So
And it
that,
was, yeah.
yeah, so he's standing on the tubing, and the alarms are going off.
Doug doesn't hear the alarms, though.
He's right next to the alarm and doesn't hear the alarms.
He
It's
doesn't.
like beep boop beep beep boop beep, right? But
I had to realize that my best bet was for Doug to leave in this situation. So I just acted like everything was okay.
Wow.
And so,
To which end
He left.
He left.
and then everything was okay because
Yeah.
I could breathe without my nurse there.
Yeah. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time he did that again, and I heard the alarm and came into the room. I don't know if you remember that. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And he's like, what are you talking about? Foot literally on the tubing set. And do you remember the other?
He walked into me with a knife in his hand.
You asked him to feed you your bite,
Mhm.
and instead of feeding you the food, he poked you with the knife that was in his other hand.
Yeah.
You're like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the other thing you remember about Doug?
Doug was an award winner.
Yeah, right? Fancy that. So after, we'll call it a handful of incidents, we asked that maybe Doug doesn't come back to our house.
Yeah.
And the company that you worked with had like an Employee of the Month program, which there were certainly nurses that we nominated that for sure, right? And
Doug wasn't one of them.
Doug, we actually recommended he don't come back.
Yeah.
And maybe finds employment in another line.
Mm-hmm.
But lo and behold,
or
we're
maybe,
looking,
just get hearing aids.
Or get hearing aids, but still, like, hearing aids don't help not stabbing you in the head with a knife. You know, I mean,
He was not in the best position.
No.
To be taking care of someone.
But, good for him. He went to another house and ended up being Employee of the Month somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you were the wake-up call that he needed.
Mm-hmm.
But probably not. I don't know. I envisioned some poor kid was like,
Doug, I can't breathe.
Yeah. Is Doug Nurse of the Year? Doug Nurse of the Year. Get out of here. Get out of here. Yeah. But really appreciate all the great nurses out there.
Yeah, of course.
There's some, some greats, some all-time greats, but certainly some that maybe didn't
top the charts.
Top the charts, right? You want to talk maybe about a good one?
I was going to say that too.
Yeah. I mean, it might be helpful to just balance things out. We don't want to have a negative podcast, right? It is the mostly peaceful.
Should we go to the
podcast.
very best, or should we?
I don't know that you have certainly there's like a.
Should we go to the top of the charts right now?
Like S tier for video gamers, right? Like you want to go into the S tier?
Yeah.
Because I mean, the very best.
Do you want to go to
S tier?
Who's helping me the most right now?
Sure.
I think Butters.
Yeah. Butters is S tier for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, we love that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely part of the family for sure. So, Butters, not his real name.
John.
Yeah. But we'll protect his identity and stick with his nickname.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah, geez. But
What's
yeah.
his last name?
Yeah. Address, phone number.
Yeah. Social Security.
Yeah, no, Butters, he was in the later years of your stay at home.
He's in the part that I remember, though.
Yeah.
The first of my memory coming back.
Yeah.
First of me being really aware of what's going on.
And it was a good time because we had this PCA agency, personal care assistant agency, that we were working with, which was, I don't remember the name of the student experience. So it was colleges in the Twin Cities would have people who were in healthcare programs or looking to get into healthcare, and their students would work. Essentially, it was a PCA agency, personal care assistant agency, that worked with students, which was really great because it was like future nurses and people who were CNAs. Like we always had staff. And they were people who were your age, so that was a lot of fun. I felt like you had certainly there was some maybe not top tier that came through there, but certainly a lot more good than bad.
I would say so.
Yeah, and I'd say they made sure you had like 80% of your shifts filled for sure. But the reason I bring that up is those PCAs, when you had like a good nurse and a good PCA, like that was the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. We meet Butters, and Butters is nicknamed after Butters from South Park.
Because he's a lovable blonde-haired goofball.
Yeah, a little bit, and he's got that charisma of Butters, and just that I wouldn't call it like just innocence of Butters, innocence. Right? Like that innocence, but you're with like a group that's definitely not innocent, right? So you kind of like go along sometimes with.
You don't have to be that innocent to be innocent among us.
Yeah, right. But certainly Butters. But yeah, no, he's been there through a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Um, what's like a top Butters story?
Oh man, I gotta think of a top butter story.
Mm-hmm.
There's some good ones.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, Butters and Ezra were a good combo.
Yeah.
Those two.
Butters and Johnny Longfingers were a good
That
combo
was a good
too.
combo too.
Yeah.
But I don't know if.
I think it was like they were dynamic.
Yeah, a good
Yeah.
guy. Yeah.
For sure. Anytime someone gives the other someone like a Bible, then you know. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Then you know you're like,
Yeah.
you guys there's a friendship
Mm-hmm.
like forming for
Yeah,
sure, right?
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, you've been out, you guys hang out together.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, what are some of the things that you guys
I
do
mean,
together?
we play Match the Gathering, which is
Yeah.
always fun. I can nerd out and talk about that for hours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We hang out, we just talk. He loves bringing his kids to hang out with me too. They're really awesome.
Yeah, it's fun, and yeah, it's certainly someone who I travel for work. So when I leave out of town, and I know Butters is around, I know you've always got like that second call, right?
Yeah. Oh man, there's so many good butter stories. It's hard to pick one.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go in.
Okay.
So, I'm trying to go earliest. And, so there was one time that Butters and we were on a walk, and Butters, we would go and we would walk super far, and it was just so much fun going. When Butters was working, I knew like, hey, we're gonna go on a freaking adventure.
Right.
So we would just, pack up what we needed and, get the go bag, and we'd go walking and catching Pokemon for a whole day. We'd be outside chasing after Pokemon. And that's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Did you ever run out of power in your chair?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe Butters had to like push it
Maybe
back.
Butters had to push it back maybe a couple times.
Yeah. Wow. And your chair's not like 5 pounds either.
No, it's 500.
Yeah, that's right. Have you ever tipped over in your chair?
So that story came to mind. I wasn't gonna bring it up.
You were with Butters, weren't you?
I was with Butters.
Yeah, you were with Butters.
I was with Butters and John.
Yeah. Yeah, so,
Mm-hmm.
I mean...
So here we are. We're at, what's it called? The sandwich shop.
Oh, yeah, down in Minneapolis?
Yeah.
Huh. I can't remember the name. But yeah, no, it was a good little sandwich place.
So we were at the sandwich store and, just picking up our sandwiches, and, I could have swore Butters said it was good to go. And the ramp was not out.
So you have a handicap accessible vehicle. You park in sideways, so you're not facing the front, you're parking in sideways. So you're reliant on the ramp coming out, and then usually you get the 10-4, and then you can back out.
And, I don't always pay attention.
Okay.
So
you don't always pay attention, and maybe Butters doesn't always pay attention.
It's not a great mix sometimes. So I feel like we both missed something. Maybe I missed something, maybe he missed something. Maybe we both did. Maybe neither of us did in the ramp miss something. Yeah, I like that. We'll blame the ramp.
Okay, so the ramp...
Nonetheless, the ramp decided
chooses to not come out. Okay.
It decided to not come out. And somehow it decided to not tell me that it wasn't out. And it decided to tell me that, despite it not saying I should go or not go.
Yeah, wow.
It told me to drive the ramp. Of course.
Yeah.
it directed me with its psychic abilities.
Yeah. Wow.
And I happened to go backwards, and there was no ramp, and I flipped backwards.
Wow. Okay. Scary.
Very scary.
Yeah. Have you done that before, or have you done that since?
No.
Okay. Not on my watch.
No, it hasn't happened since, and I don't think it happened before.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of a curmudgeon about that stuff. I think you as a child would say safety first. You were a big safety ambassador around the house. But here, lo and behold, this would have been. Were you on medical cannabis at this time?
Not yet.
Not yet. So you were still on
Oxy.
So you were a hardcore user at this time in life. So yeah, I mean, you were pretty
Drugs are bad.
Drugs are bad, kids. Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll have a future podcast about your switch from the hardcore drugs into
Dilaudid and Oxy into medical cannabis.
Yeah, I mean, you even had to do the whole methadone clinic and all that fun stuff. But we'll save that for another time. So anyways, you back out, no ramp, which is probably 2 curbs high.
Yeah.
Hit the back of your chair, and then you go ass over tea kettle and slam down in your 300-pound chair.
Yeah.
So it's you, John, and Butters, and they've got to like pull up the chair.
Yeah, a couple sandwich shop guys came out too.
Okay, yeah, because like maybe if your adrenaline is going, you can flip this thing up. Like, I don't know that I could flip it up on my own.
Yeah, John was just like, oh no.
Yeah.
And Butters was like, all right, we're gonna
heave ho.
We're gonna do this. And the sandwich shop guys came out and they were like, we got you.
Yeah.
And so they lifted up the chair back up, and then I drove in, and and then that night, because I was like, I'm fine, I went to the hospital that night to get my arm checked out, but my arm was fine.
Yeah. Yeah, adventure.
Yeah,
definitely an adventure. Again, I think there's just so many good times. A lot of Pokemoning, a lot of Magic, a lot of Warhammer, Super Bowl parties.
Yeah, Super Bowl parties.
Swim.
Yeah, swimming. Yeah, that was fun.
Did he help you swim?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It was Butters and Shannon helped me swim.
Yeah, that's pretty good. You hadn't swam since you were like an infant.
Yeah.
So to be able to swim, it's pretty cool. Should we go maybe talk about our next? Just talk about something else.
Yeah.
Just here to wrap up our podcast. As I came in, I heard that you're so you live in a group home.
Hi.
With how many other people?
3.
3 other people now? Oh, you've lost a couple.
Yeah.
That's always interesting. Usually when you lose a couple, you'll lose a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's sad. So R.I.P.
R.I.P. Howie and adios Michael. He's not dead, but he got kicked out because
I heard that you're a low information voter today.
I am a low information voter.
Wow.
And I'm a Russian sympathizer.
Ooh, Russian bootlicker maybe?
Yeah.
Wow. I think this is part of the podcast where it's part of where we stray away from mostly peaceful. It's kind of gotten rough out there, JR.
It has. It's crazy, dude.
So you're a conservative in a group home, which I'd say maybe is an anomaly. I don't know.
I think it is.
Yeah, definitely. But my sense is a lot of the nurses, or maybe not a lot, like a share of the nurses are kind of more,
I'd say half.
Yeah, more conservative than in years past.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you definitely see that shift where a lot of nurses are seeing the benefits of, they're they're taxpayers.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are middle class, and
Mm-hmm.
I think the middle class is who
Kind of
helps the
definitely
most.
definitely feeling the squeeze right now.
Yeah.
Right. So we need some relief, and what was going on wasn't really working. So time to try something different. But yeah, it's kind of tough to. I'm like, dang, guys are throwing shade at each other right off the bat.
Yeah.
You know? Like, dang.
Yeah.
So what did they mean, low information voter? I was like, dude, are you like gonna fisticuffs your roomies here or what? I'm like, usually these are your bros, so
Yeah.
so
Well,
tell me a little bit about that. What's going on in the house?
what's going on is people, I think, are afraid that we're gonna turn into a dictatorship.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I get the sense of that too. Like it's kind of spicy out
Yeah,
there, and
it
I'm
is.
like, I feel bad for people. Certainly, there's a lot of, I feel like, fear mongering out there. Because if you actually like stop the day, I'm waiting for stuff to change, but I don't feel like anything's really changed other than people are like all worked up.
Yeah. I feel like I see people worked up. I see people are upset. I haven't been impacted by any big change yet.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like your whole Medicare, all of that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the deductible stuff went up, but that's not anything from what we're doing now. That's still from, like, it's going to take time for the stuff that's happening now to really make change in our day-to-day, but everybody's acting like the sky is falling for sure.
Yeah, the sky is falling. And I don't think people are, I get my news from the podcasts.
Yeah.
Yeah, from that and X, and because I like getting it from the people, and I feel like a lot of the people that are really being brought into the fear mongering are people that are still listening to standard media.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a big. I haven't watched the news. I don't even know when the last time I watched the news was. It's probably been 10 years since I've watched the news.
Well, when I turn it on, it's always terrible.
Yeah. So when you, well, you're on X, so they might say that that's your propaganda, right?
We can say that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's from people.
I know, that's the thing is.
It's like you can go just Google whatever they post.
Yeah.
And look up whether it's like legit or not.
And usually you get like a pretty diverse slate of like perspectives. Like there's certainly some people that I follow that are like on the ground in Ukraine, and even there they have different perspectives of, it's kind of like what region of Ukraine are they in and what's their their thoughts about what's going on. So I mean you get a pretty, I'd say, good array, more than what's on TV of things. So I agree with that.
Yeah.
You're not on TikTok.
I'm not.
Yeah, I'm on TikTok. I love TikTok. I can't wait till we buy TikTok and put it in like a trust. We're gonna make so much money off TikTok. It's gonna be huge. So you're a sympathizer.
I am. And I don't
are you a
understand that one.
bot too, or
No, but I don't understand how I'm a Russian sympathizer. Quite. I'm still confused by that one, because whenever I ask how I'm a sympathizer for not wanting World War III.
Yeah. I mean, that's like a good one, right?
That's a good one, right?
Yeah, right.
I don't want World War III.
Yeah.
I think my brother did not go to war.
True, right? Like we've got a guy in our family, your brother, my son, who slings missiles for a living.
Yes.
Like actual ones, the big ones. The ones that they put maybe not on the front line, but behind the front line, and like very deployable into a combat zone.
Correct.
Yeah. So we definitely have motivation and some skin in the game, right? Like we definitely feel the fear of what a war would mean for us. You're not getting sent off.
No.
No.
But
I would love to
with
go,
the-
I think, but
well, with the
I'm too
ages
old
that
for that.
Ukraine
Yeah,
soldiers
maybe.
are all in their 40s and 50s, so
Yeah. So you're telling me if the crap hits the fan, I get to,
you get out of here.
I can get out of here?
Mhm.
Cool.
I was thinking about
Like if
that
Canada
today.
gets a little bit spicier, like I could get conscripted to fight the Canadians.
That's one of the things that I'm, me being a Russian sympathizer is going to lead to, I hear.
Really?
Yeah, it's going to lead to my country going to war with Canada.
Yeah. That'd be a short war, I feel like.
I don't feel like we're heading in that direction.
I don't think so either. I think we're closer to them being a state than we are
I
to
think so
going
too.
to war with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Right now we're eyeing up Canada and Greenland. I think
Don't worry, NATO's protecting them. That's not us.
Yeah. Yeah. So that'll be they'll be good guys to have join aboard. Yeah. What else comes with? So yeah, you still have some people might say that it's like your Minnesota benefits though are foot the bill and not the federal stuff, which I can say that's been a lot more cumbersome over the years working with the state to get the things that you need. That's the part that okay, there's federal stuff going on, certainly I have opinions about that, but on the state level, man, and I think it's disappointing on both sides of our politics currently, where I'm like, not much is getting done, and the stuff that is getting done is like so extreme.
It has nothing to do with the real people.
Yeah, right. It's like what
oh,
are we
this
doing?
affects somebody that's some guy I know's cousins, like little brothers,
Right.
friend, roommate.
Here's what I know to be true. Man, my Minnesota state taxes really suck, and you can't even take a walk out in your St. Paul roads without being in the middle of the road because it's a
sidewalks are terrible.
You can't go down a sidewalk, and even on the edges of the roads, you might fall into a pothole. Yeah, right, a crevasse to be lost forever. Like you've made it through 3 bouts of sepsis, multi-organ failure, and you're gonna die here in St. Paul in a pothole.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of crazy. That was definitely interesting to come into your. I wouldn't call it a spat, but just a little spicy, at the Casa de JR.
It's all in good fun though.
Yeah, I mean. The dudes here are good. It's a good crew, and I think everything stayed friendly.
Yeah.
But I could tell that there was definitely some emotion behind it, which isn't too different than I think outside of the home where a lot of people are spun up. Yeah, and everybody's mad about eggs. That's the other thing. Like I was at the store.
They were $6. That's not bad.
No, that's expensive. I remember when they were like $1. Dude.
Okay, well you're.
I mean, I am old, but also like a couple bucks not too long ago. I think they killed the chickens before. I think it was intentional. I think they knew what they were doing and they killed the chickens. You know what podcast of ours I'm looking most forward to?
What?
And they better not hose us on this. Our JFK, MLK, Epstein podcast.
Yeah.
Like that's gonna be fire, right?
That is.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked for that. But yeah, getting back to you being a Russian bootlicker or a bot, not much has changed for you.
No, really.
So like, I think the tough thing is the more people that come in, the fear of you. Actually, that's a bigger concern that I have is if there's more people we're taking care of, there's less support for the people who really need it. Whether it's people like yourself, the other people in the home, or like our homeless veterans, that we see, right? So
far, the only person I know that's losing their SSI is a friend of mine who probably shouldn't be on SSI.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. And I don't know that people like. actually what they're talking about now is the elderly not being taxed on their Social Security, which is like, you're already getting,
So much.
you get taxed, right? And really, I'm like just anti-tax altogether.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm getting my money's worth for sure.
I can't
But
even
you're
talk
the
about-
Russian bootlicker. I'm not. So
Yeah.
now rumor has it I am too. So
Oh, good.
yeah, no, I've gotten my fair share of spicy interactions with some friends and family. So yeah, it's tough where you're like, wow, you people are worked up. Like,
Yeah, they're scared, which is sad to see.
it really is.
And it's like, man, seeing who's doing it, I can see who's doing it to them too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm watching the media
Yeah.
rile these people up,
Mm-hmm.
and it's directly correlated. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It is the media directly getting people worked up.
Right. And I'm like, listen, turn off
Turn off the news.
turn off electronics, go touch grass, go breathe fresh air, and if there's something that's happening and you need my help as someone I care about, then give me a call and I'll help you out.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like such visceral where it's like, you did this to me, and I'm like, well, what did I do to you? And they're like, you're bad, and I'm like, okay, well, where does it hurt?
Mm-hmm.
What hurts you right now? Well, it's gonna hurt, and I'm like, okay, well,
We don't know
maybe,
yet.
yeah, like, well, maybe we should wait till it hurts. Well, it's gonna hurt, and it's gonna hurt the worst ever, and then the hurt's gonna last forever. Like, no, maybe we should just take a stop here and let's wait and see.
Mm-hmm. And I think people just don't have the patience anymore that they used to.
Mm-hmm.
People are so. Everything is tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right. With everything,
Mm-hmm.
not just politics.
No,
it's just
it's everything.
yeah, we're an instant gratification society right now
Mhm.
for sure.
Yeah.
Which for you, I mean, you're one of the most patient people I know.
Thank you.
Yeah, and partly you had to make a choice. Like you have to be patient. You're dependent on others to
Mm-hmm.
make it through your day. And you could be grumpy Gus about it, or you can have a good attitude about it. So I appreciate that about you of having a good attitude.
It's a lot more fun to have a good attitude.
I think so.
I really enjoy life more when I have a positive outlook on it.
Yeah. Before we wrap up our podcast here, you're working on something that's kind of along those lines, right?
Yeah, I'd love to become a motivational speaker.
Okay, cool. So, what does that entail? What does the future look like for JR in motivational speaking?
I want to go to a college, maybe
Okay.
take a class this fall.
So you signed up for your stuff, right? You're
I got
waiting to get back?
rejected
Really? Why?
because my GPA in high school wasn't high enough. But
That doesn't make sense.
my ACT score might get me in. Because I sent in my thing without my ACT score, and they said that my ACT score, if it's high, as I say it is, I'll be
Your
fine.
GPA was fine, but
2.67.
yeah, you were also like,
Yeah, they don't care.
yeah, huh,
There's no like, oh, you died
yeah.
clause.
Well, sounds like we have some work to do to
Mhm.
maybe look at some other places.
Mhm.
Um,
But nonetheless,
So,
I'll
yeah.
find a class.
yeah, you'll find a class. You could do like a speaking class,
Yeah.
or yeah, that'll be good. And then you hope to maybe get in the rhythm of things and
Mhm.
build a structure around
Yeah.
your story.
Yeah. And I think, maybe we can end the podcast on talking about how have you given hope recently? Maybe, have you given anybody hope recently?
Yeah, I like to think so. Yeah, let me think about that for a sec. I have. I think there's a lot of people who've been impacted recently with just how the economy is,
Mm-hmm.
and not just in the public sector and the private sector, and really in private sector, we're used to it. Like we have layoffs all the time, and Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's not who you would expect, or like certainly you've got a work experience with people, and you're like, wow, that's not the person that maybe I would have let go. But companies have a reason for why they do things. So hearing all of these like, oh, we're laying off, we're laying off all these federal workers. I'm like, dudes, this is every year for me. And someday it might be me. And but anyways, yeah, certainly. I had a coworker who their job was impacted, and they were pretty shook and caught off guard by that. And there was a time when I was in between work and looking at hindsight, moving from one company to the company I'm in now. I was like super, it was a bad time for me too. But one of my regrets is I didn't enjoy the process and really like take the time to just explore something new. Usually they call it growing pains because it's painful to grow, and be in that moment. And with this coworker, I'm like, I get it. You're in a tough time. But I think overall they're financially okay. It's just a transition period for them. But they're a very smart person, approachable. Like they're gonna do great things. So for me, I was able to share what my story was and how I learned on the other side of that. And one thing we can guarantee in life is change. So for me to be like, I can be there for you. You've got a network of people here who still care about you, and if I can help you in finding something new, or we just need someone to talk to, or whatever that needs to look like, to give that hope of, this is just a moment. There's some learning that is in this. Maybe we don't see it right now, but certainly take time to reflect. Don't panic. That's the worst thing. But just know, like, people care about you, and you're going to be okay on the other side of it. So, that was a recent thing for me to, help a friend and colleague kind of work through a challenge.
That's great.
How about you?
I've been doing a lot of growing.
You've been doing growing, okay.
I mean, is that cool?
Sure.
I mean, I've been doing so much growing. I feel like I'm really taking care of my health now. I'm really focusing on eating every day.
Okay.
I mean,
yeah.
It might sound simple, but eating every day.
Now, what are you eating?
I'm not eating the best stuff, but I'm making sure I eat my eggs for breakfast.
Okay, so egg protein, that's good.
Yeah, I get my protein for breakfast. I'm gonna have leftover Olive Garden for lunch.
Okay.
It's got shrimp and chicken in it, so
okay, that's
more
good.
protein.
Protein's good. Any veggies or fruits?
So I have been getting more into veggies lately.
Okay.
I've been spicing things up with peppers.
Okay, peppers
All
are
sorts of different peppers.
Yeah. Huh.
I've been really digging those reds, those greens, those yellows, all of them, and those jalapenos especially.
Maybe you should get like a little planter for outside this spring
I've got
and summer.
one. It's right on the shelf.
Okay, good. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
All right. I like it. Do you mind if I end the podcast with a plug, or are you talking about growing still?
I'm still talking about growing.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so I've been doing that. I've been, doing the whole college thing is really exciting.
Yeah.
I've been going to the open houses for colleges and.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah, I went to an open house for Metro.
Okay.
Yeah. I accidentally went to a graduate open house, so it wasn't quite for me, but
wow.
It was, I got the tour of the place, which I wanted, so, I got what I needed from
Metro
there.
State?
Yeah.
My alma mater.
Okay.
Nice. Rejected you?
They rejected me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think they'll take me once they see my 26.
You didn't name drop at all like that. Okay.
Should I have name dropped?
Maybe. I don't know.
They didn't accept me, so.
No, that's rough.
Yeah.
It's probably the other Scanlans out there was how you got
Yeah.
rejected.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I've been doing that and just working on grow, give hope, and gratitude. How that being able to bring that message of how those three things have helped change my life.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So eventually, what we'll have coming is last year post COVID kind of things are getting in the swing of things. We've gotten back to being involved with the Muscular Dystrophy Association.
Yeah.
We're working on last year they started back up the Toast for Life Gala, which that was a real good time, but it wasn't the same big party like our heyday.
Yeah.
The heyday of Muscular Dystrophy Association parties, right?
Yeah.
We certainly love those parties, but October 24th this year is this year's Toast for Life Gala. We'll be looking for sponsors. We'll be looking for monetary donations, but I think part of the fun of it is some auction items would be appreciated. So there's a lot of bidding is a big part of the night. And certainly people will have some seats open to attend and see the show, so or participate in the gala. But stay tuned for some of that Toast to Life information. But certainly you know where to find JRI if you're looking to be a sponsor for the evening.
I'll have a link in the description.
Okay, good. We'll have a link in the description, and certainly items that you would donate are tax deductible as well. So there's if the cause isn't good enough, certainly there's some personal benefit outside of just the hope and that you're giving with your gift too. So we'll include some of that information. But with that, I think it's been a good chat with you.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah.
Likewise.
It's been a good one. So until next time, keep it mostly peaceful, JR.
Yeah, I will. You too.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.